fine as well. All right. So welcome. It is November. Hard to believe. It's November. It's almost Thanksgiving. And we are doing our product overview and mini health talk and knowing better and doing better. I am going to start by sharing my screen here. And we're going to talk about BioCleanse today. It's one of the products we're going to talk about. So some of you, if you've taken the triplex, you should be pretty familiar with the BioCleanse. And I will say, sometimes people have extreme feelings about the BioCleanse. It's either something that they love because it finally helps them go to the bathroom. I can't tell you how many times over these past almost 10 years, I have heard people say, you know, Autumn, I was struggling to go to the bathroom, but maybe once a week. And sometimes I would even wind up in the emergency room because I was not able to go to the bathroom. And BioCleanse literally saved my life. I've also heard quite a few stories with kids. In fact, my cousin's daughter was on some medications and went and got permission from the doctor. I think she was about 10 at the time. Because it is a more natural form of oxygenated magnesium. So it's not a prescription. I'm trying to think what she was on. But anyway, and so her stomach, her little tummy would be like hard as a rock. And anyway, BioCleanse literally saved her. And what I love about it is, so whether you need to go to the bathroom or not, and if you need help in that department, it has other benefits. Okay. So it is a matter of finding what works best for you and what dosage. I will say we have seemed to find that when people take 3 ProBio 5 and 3 BioCleanse, that seems they kind of balance each other out, and the BioCleanse doesn't seem as vigorous, as harsh, maybe some would say. And so that's typically what works well. Some people like to start with 1 BioCleanse and work on up. I've had people taking 4, 2 in the morning and 2 at night, and they just love it and swear by it. So it's one of those things where you have to find your happy place with it. But let me tell you, so it has the oxygenated magnesium, also has a little bit of vitamin C to help boost your immune system, which is fantastic, obviously. And then we have sodium bicarbonate. Anybody want to guess what that is? It's baking soda. You're probably thinking, okay, really? Why am I taking baking soda? Baking soda is actually considered a superfood. And so baking soda helps fight acidity in the body, and it helps promote a more alkaline rich environment. And if anybody does their research, you're going to find that, you know, we'll just say disease can't live in a really alkaline body. Disease and cancer and all the other things that are ailments, they thrive in an acidic body. And so when we can make it more alkaline and tip it more in that direction, that is going to help the battle in fighting and warding off disease. We've also got a bioflavonoid complex, which actually is incredible for gut health and skin complexion. And overall, magnesium is one of those minerals that the world is desperately just deficient in. We can never truly seem to get enough. It's not, you know, very prominent in our diets, especially with today's farming practices. And so it's something that we all desperately need and very important. So next time you struggle to go to the bathroom, or you hear of someone that struggles to go to the bathroom, then make sure to share with them about the BioCleanse. And if you haven't tried it, try it for yourself. The last thing I do want to say is if our bowels are stagnant, that's a breeding ground for disease. Because if you think about it, they're just sitting there and they're reabsorbing the toxins. And the bowels are supposed to be moving. And one of the reasons why our bowels might become stagnant. Well, there's so many reasons. So the fact, if we can push that through and make sure that we're expelling, I mean, at least once a day, then that is the most healthy thing we can truly do for ourselves. So we also have a little bit of some orange and lemon peel, etc. So that's our bio cleanse. And next up, I wanted to highlight our 3-day reset. And I'm choosing to highlight this month because for somebody new coming into Plexus, if they purchase a combo, they actually, and make sure to read the fine print on exactly, I think it's like 100 PV or more of products. But if they purchase a certain amount of PV, they get a free reset. This is like an $80 value. Absolutely incredible. We have seen results like you wouldn't believe. Everything from, people's blood pressure and inflammation and headaches and energy, just incredible results. So what this is it's a 3-day nutritionally supported fast, and it mostly has drinks and soups. So we're talking mostly liquids. There is one kind of snack bar in the middle of the day, and you wake up and you work your way through this system of products for 3 days. And so we're not starving the body. People say, oh, well, I'm losing inches in weight because I'm not eating enough. Well, actually, you are eating enough. You're getting, I believe it's, well, I know it's the daily amount of protein. I think it's 25 grams of, no, I'm thinking of our lean now. Darn it. Well, whatever the daily average of protein you're supposed to get, that's what you're getting. And few Americans actually meet that each day. So you're getting plenty of protein. You're getting antioxidants. In some cases, you're getting some vitamins and minerals, etc. And what you're able to do with this reset is give your bowels, your intestines, a bit of a break. Give your body a break from chewing and digesting heavy food, and oftentimes food that's really inflammatory on the body, food that's actually not helping us fight disease. It's actually a contributor to disease because it is so inflammatory. So we have in here a Plexus pink drink, of course. We have a hydrate, we have restore, we have active, we have 2 soups, okay? 2 soups. And these soups, I'm going to forewarn you, you're going to need, because they involve collagen, which is absolutely incredible. Collagen can help heal and seal the gut. But you're going to need one of those either electric mixers or a really good shaker bottle to get the collagen dissolved. Even in warm, hot water, you need something to help mix it up real good. Some people like to rearrange the order of these products. You can absolutely do that. If you don't want to follow it exactly as stated, you can rearrange the order. Some people like to mix the soups and mix them together and just have the soup, once a day and mix them together. So that is obviously your choice. And then the snack bar is whenever you'd like it. But truly, this 3-day reset helps reset your metabolism, reset your taste buds in many ways, and also just gives your body a break from having to break down heavy foods, gives your digestive tract a break. And back to the break, our bodies don't always have time to go and repair other aspects of our health internally. When we're so busy popping food in our mouth off and on throughout the day, and here's the meal, and then a couple hours later, here's another meal, or here's a snack or whatever, they're just constantly busy digesting. And so when we can give it a break from that, just give it liquids mostly, then, and yet still support it with protein and good nutritious ingredients, then it actually has time to go focus and pay attention on some other aspects of your health. So maybe it can actually go work on the inflammation in your knees a little bit more, or actually go repair a bit more of your gut health or whatever else is going on, right? So it really frees it up to just be consuming good, nutritious ingredients, give the digestive tract a break, and enjoy that for 3 days. And it really, truly does. For some people, swear by it really resetting their taste buds. If you have you've been on a vacation or something, you've been on a sugar kick, it just really revs up that sugar monster in all of us. And so sometimes you just need to take a good break and force yourself into some healthy habits. And this is a good, easy way to do so in just 3 days. So I am going to move along on over to the last part of our talk here. And we are going to discuss today a bit about meat. And let me share my screen again. Oops. All right, so I'm going to educate you a bit more when it comes to meat. And because believe it or not, the meat that you're eating contributes to your health and your well-being. And there is a lot of information out there that I have learned about, especially in this last year or so. I have a health podcast. It's called Know Better, Do Better. And I am going to share with you all an interview that I did. I'll leave it. If you want the interview, you can maybe drop your email in the comments of the chat here, and I can personally send it to you. But it is done with a regenerative farmer. And I learned some things that blew me away about our meat industry. So first of all, we have factory farming. And we have pasture-raised cattle, okay? Factory farming, just to put it to you blunt and simply, we're talking about super stressed out, sick animals, okay? Stressed out as in high cortisol. And in some cases, I mean, I know we're talking about cows, but same with chickens, same with pigs. It's rather horrific what they can do to these animals. And I'm not talking about just animal activism, because I mean, that's sad too. I have a heart for that, but that's not why I'm here. I'm actually like disturbed that we're eating animals that are living in fear and stress, and all the hormones and the cortisol levels and all of that just goes through the roof. That's not healthy. When you eat an animal that's been in fear its whole life, it's going to be deprived, versus when you eat a happy cow that is living out in nature and living the way that God intended it to live, right? So factory animals versus pasture raised. I think it's pretty easy to guess which one we would all choose to eat. But the reality is, what's in most of our grocery stores is going to be factory raised. And there's poor, inhumane living conditions for a lot of these animals. Some of them end up eating dead carcasses, and some of them are drinking bad water. And, we'll get into it. So here's just kind of an idea. Well, I'll give you another chart here in a bit, but there's pasture raised, organic fed, GMO free, soy free, corn free, low PUFA, and vaccine free poultry, or cows, because cows get vaccines as well. These are all the things that you're up against when it comes to animals that are conventionally raised in factory farms. So they're going to get just diets that are cheap and inexpensive, but fatten the cow up. And, whatever ways there are to cut corners to just raise them up and help them fill out, so then we can hurry up and slaughter them. So it's not about their mental well-being. It's not about truly the health of the animal. It's, can we hurry up and raise them without them getting sick? So we'll pump them full of antibiotics, give them medications, and see if we can, get them to mature so we can just hurry up and slaughter them already. What they eat, you eat. Okay. We're eating the animal, and you can't take every bit of the growth hormone and the antibiotics and the vaccines and the GMOs and just the medications, the bad sewer water, if it's dead carcasses. I mean, it's all going in to make up that animal in which then you're consuming. And like I said, if it's a sick animal, then you're not eating healthy, nutritious food. Of course, we can flavor it up, right? Restaurants can make it look real pretty, put some good flavors on it. I had a farmer, we have a friend that's an organic farmer. He told me once that when you go to the butcher at the grocery store and you see the rainbow sheen kind of on some of the meats, he said that's actually the chemicals and some of the stuff that has been literally injected within the cow. And sometimes they'll inject meat. So they'll inject the animal right before they slaughter it. Okay. So they'll inject it with like a tenderizer, a bunch of chemicals right before they slaughter it. So the heart pumps it to all over the body, and then they time it and slaughter the animal thereafter. So then once the animal's dead, then all of that meat tenderizer seeps in, and then you get a juicier steak. Okay. So here's some of the marketing that's very interesting when it comes to knowing what kind of meat. Natural, it really doesn't mean much. It's just fancy marketing where they're trying to get you to lean in to purchase their meat. But it's, usually been processed to some degree. Now, it isn't supposed to contain any artificial ingredients or chemical preservatives. That's a little bit of a sketchy area as to what they allow and don't allow. But the problem is it's just not regulated. So really they can call it natural, but there's a big chance that nobody's truly following up with what these farmers are actually doing and the labels they're putting on their products. Grass-fed means that the animal has had the opportunity to eat grass at some point, but it does not necessarily always mean that they have only been grass-fed. Now, this was a sad one for me because I'm like, wait, what? You're telling me that they're grass-fed and yet they might not actually be grass-fed? Yes, this is the tricky, ridiculous marketing schemes of the industry. So they can allow a cow to eat grass for most of their life, but right here where it says they have been grain finished, it means towards the end of their life, they actually switched and put them on grains. They wanted to fatten them up, get them to a certain weight, so then they could hurry up and slaughter them. Okay. And when it comes to grains and feeding cows grains, first of all, it's not meant, cows are not actually meant to eat grains. So we're giving them food that wasn't designed for them to eat, but it helps the ranchers accomplish what they need to, which is just help them gain weight. We don't care by what means we help them gain weight. We just need them to gain weight. It also causes the meat to be a bit more inflammatory because the grains tend to make the meat full of more omega-6s. And if you have too many omega-6s, it can actually create an inflammatory response in the body. So all that to say, the grass-fed, if you ever get the chance to ask a farmer or ask a company, is it grass-fed and grass-finished, then that's your cow. That's so much better. We're looking good. Then there's grass-fed. Oh, well, there it is. Grass-fed, grass-finished. The animal has been allowed to graze freely and has only eaten grass and hay for their entire life. Fabulous. Free range. Animals that have animals that have been given access to the outdoors, but it does not mean that they can roam freely at all times. They may be confined indoors. So once again, a little bit of a variable here. It may mean what it says, and the animals may actually be free range roaming animals, and others, that are a bit more shady might not mean the case, right? But at least we know they have some degree of roaming outdoors versus locked up in small cages or just jammed into these slaughterhouses and not able to move. And then a pasture-raised animal must have had access to the outdoors for a minimum of 120 days per year. So really, I mean, still a little bit of wiggle room there as well, but just much better, right? Because they have a certain allotted amount of time where we know they've been moving around and free. So regenerative farming, though, is truly the best option if you're able to. We're talking free range, grass-fed and finished, no antibiotics, no GMOs in their feed, because all those grains, yeah, they're GMO. We're also talking healthy soil, and these farms typically look at fair labor practices versus a sick, stressed out cow with high cortisol, antibiotics, growth hormone, and factory farmed like this poor little guy. So chicken labels. I mean, I know we're not talking about chicken, but this is just like the marketing schemes, right? So this is Foster Farms, and this is a big one. You can say cage free. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not in cages at some point. And you can say no antibiotics, not fed routine antibiotics to promote growth. However, chicken may be given antibiotics to prevent or treat illness. So you see how I typically just avoid these big names and try and go for smaller brands, or best bet is organic. Here's also a difference. A lot of people see this non-GMO project and they think, oh, well, this is healthy. Well, actually, it's not as healthy as organic. So while no GMOs are allowed, you potentially have synthetic pesticides that are allowed on the hay or the grass, and then the animal eats the pesticides. And once again, we're consuming little bits of fragments of these. And, over weeks and months and years, that adds up in our body. That's not even to mention what we're eating from our own, cabinets and out in restaurants. Hexane, which is a toxin used in an extraction process for different things, is allowed. Sewage sludge allowed. Antibiotics, etc. Okay, so organic is just a safer route. Now, here's what you're going to want to screenshot. These are all supposed to be the healthier options for meat. So if you choose one of these, as opposed to going to the grocery store and buying meat, and I would say, depending on which one you choose, it's not all that much more than the grocery store. Although it depends, I guess, on what you're buying at the grocery store currently. But take a screenshot, check these out, and see if maybe this might fit into the budget of your family. In these cases, you're supporting farms that are either completely regenerative or very close to regenerative, and the health and the happiness of the animals are a priority. So you're not eating sick, stressed out animals, you're eating happy animals. And there is a vibrational fingerprint that when you consume a sick animal, there's just this like frequency of sickness that comes in, versus when you can consume an animal that's been happy and is healthy, then that's contributing to your health. So, moral of the story, this is the last slide. Best options, regenerative farm. That's best, okay? So if you can look for one of those, that'd be fabulous. The next best would be, okay, if you can't do one of those subscription options, just look for organic at the grocery store. There is some wiggle room in the organic realm, as I learned on my podcast interview, that was a little upsetting. You can't always trust that organic is as clean and pure at the grocery store as I would have hoped, but it's going to be better than just buying the non-organic brand. And so we got good, better, best. The good option is okay, if you can't do organic, at least look for the no antibiotics or growth hormones, at least. And that's not even a complete guarantee because, like I said, we just saw there's a little bit of wiggle room for some of those things, but it probably doesn't have as much as just the regular meat behind the, in the glass with the butcher and some of the packaged meat. The good thing about the package is you can see a little bit more about it, or you can even maybe find what farm it's from and research and find out kind of the living conditions of the animals. So with that said, I learned in this interview that I'm going to share with y'all. For those that want it, drop your email in the chat. But there are most all of our US meat comes from only 4 meat corporations, only 4. They call them the big 4. And 3, we'll just say roughly 3 of the 4 get most of their meat from out of the country. So we're not eating meat that's necessarily from the United States. It comes from China, Mexico, and I think another big one is Cuba. So I'm sitting here thinking the steak at the local restaurant where we just had dinner literally could be steak from China. I have no idea what kind of an animal I'm eating. And so she was explaining to me in this interview that they can say that the animal is from the US if it's processed here. So if essentially they process the meat, slaughter it here, they can say it's from here, but in reality, it was living over in God only knows what kind of conditions in another country. So, all right, lots of information for you all to swallow here tonight. I'm going to wrap this up and take some questions if you have any. But with that said, I appreciate you being here. If you don't have any questions, you can hop off.